Hey, what's up everyone? Happy anniversary. We've been playing this game for a whole year now, and that means it's finally time for SP Inanna. Now we all know she's the best unit in the game. Everyone's been telling you this for ages. And in fact, she's the only unit that's completely banned in community PvP. Other units get certain skills banned, but not Inanna. She is just that good. So I really hope you've saved enough pulls. Anyway, settle in, grab a drink. There's going to be a lot of yapping here. Her kit is stacked. Let's break it down. Inanna is a legendary watcher, belonging to the Iria, Fortitude and Sword of Convallaria factions. This means she'll benefit from leader auras from Dantalion, Magnus, and Ayishah. As well as that, she's also got her own, because she's got everything. We'll go over it more later, but it is really good, so it's worth considering for a skill slot. Now, looking at these last two next to each other, I'm not buying this whole body double narrative. You can tell there's no Specsavers in Iria because I'm seeing 4 glaring differences. Anyway, let's move on. You came for a character guide, not for me to be sat here comparing apples to grapefruits. Inanna's trait is Will of Freedom and is based around a unique stackable buff called Free Will. At level 1, she starts the battle with 6 stacks of Free Will and gains 2 extra at the end of every turn. While she has Free Will, her movement is increased by 1 tile and she gains access to the Call of Freedom skill. This is an instant skill that costs 2 energy as well as 8 stacks of Free Will. It's a single target healing ability with a 5 tile range. It heals the target for 30% of Inanna's physical attack and grants them Freedom Stance 1. This is another unique buff which lets the target act again after they finish their turn. Act again abilities are ridiculously good in turn-based games like this, and Inanna can set this up at instant speed, so she still gets her whole turn on top of it. One thing to remember is that you do have to actually use a non-instant skill for the act again to trigger. So you can't do an instant, move, and then stand by, for example. That's only the tiniest of downsides though. At level 2, she gains a 10% increase to attack and defense, and more importantly, starts the battle with 8 stacks of Free Will. This means that she can set up an act again on the first turn. At level 3, the stat bonuses increase to 15%. Casting Call of Freedom no longer costs energy, only Free Will stacks. The healing increases to 90% of Inanna's physical attack, and it now also grants to the target damage up to and damage reduction to for 2 turns. At star level 4, the stat bonuses go up to 20%, and now she gains 3 stacks of Free Will every turn. This means she can act again someone every 3 turns instead of 4 turns. Call of Freedom now also grants Freedom Stance 2, which means that when you trigger their act again, they also gain 2 energy. And then finally, at level 5, the stat bonuses increase again to 25%. But much more importantly, when Inanna casts Call of Freedom on an ally, she now also gains the benefits herself. So she'll be letting both an ally and herself act again, buffing up, healing, and recovering 2 energy, which she can do turn 1 and then every 3 turns for the rest of the game at instant speed. This is absolutely crazy, and all this is just from her trait. We haven't even looked at her skills yet. This is just an extra thing she does on top. If they released a unit before this, and all it did was this, I'd still have told you to pull for it. Amazingly good. So I'm sure it is going to come at no shock but I'm going to recommend you take her all the way to 5-star. Inanna's starting skill is Cure Blow. You're never going to use this, so I'm not going to bother. It's a skip. What's definitely not a skip is the SP skill that she gets from regular Inanna. This is a reaction skill called Battle Hardened Warrior. Whenever a character within 5 tiles uses a non-instant skill, Inanna will gain 1 stack of Battlefield Trial. This is an undispellable buff that grants 2% attack and 2% damage reduction per stack up to 15, so 30% boosts in total. Then when she reaches max stacks, she gains the Attack Command aura, which grants 12% physical and magical attack to all allies within 2 tiles of her. And then, if all that wasn't enough, she also gains an extra stack of free will every time she uses a non-instant skill. So remember back when I was just saying it was crazy when she could act again herself and an ally every 3 turns? Well, now she's doing it every 2 turns. Best in slot reaction, no doubt. If you don't have regular Inanna, pray to the RNG gods for a spook, or get her from a selector. Alright, with all that out of the way, let's load up the skill tree. At rank 1, Inanna's first skill is Convallaria Swordplay. This is a decision skill with 2 options, both of which cost 2 energy and have 0 cooldown. The first option is Convallaria Blooming Horizon. This deals magical damage equal to 100% of a physical attack to all enemies in a 3x3 area directly in front of her. If hitting only one enemy, the damage multiplier increases to 150%, and after using the skill, Inanna gains damage reduction too. The second option is Convallaria Windswept Blossom. This deals 150% physical damage to all enemies within 3 tiles in front of Inanna and knocks them back by 1 tile. And again, after using this skill, she gains damage reduction too. Now just one of these options would be good, but the fact you get the choice of both in one skill slot is just awesome. You can adapt to enemies with different shield types, you've got knockback, you've got AoE, and everything gives her damage reduction. We're definitely picking this one up. Now her second choice at rank 1 is Light of Convallaria. This is a 2 cooldown, 2 energy support skill with a 3 tile range. Inanna herself gains 2 stacks of free will, and all allies within 3 tiles gain attack up 2, movement up 1, and recover 1 energy. Both of these choices are great, and you're going to be using them. Inanna's got 2 main builds. She always does the act again stuff, but you can then focus on either more DPS or more support. And these 2 choices are part of one of those builds. So for rank 1, we're going with a Castalia and grabbing both. Rank 3 is going to be a quick one. First up, we've got Brilliant Light. This is an aura that reduces attack and defense of all enemies within 3 tiles of Inanna by 10%. The second option is Helping Hand, a passive that makes it so after an active attack, Inanna will heal 1 ally in battle with the lowest HP for 40% of her physical attack plus her magic attack. This one's up to you really, you're not going to use either very often, but I'm going to choose Brilliant Light, as it could have a place for boss fighting if you needed the extra attack and defense down, as it will stack with normal debuffs. Next up is the rank 5 reaction skills, and the first one is Natural Sword Intent. This gives her a once per turn preempt for magical damage equal to 100% physical attack, and also gives her a once per battle revive as long as she has 6 or more free will stacks available when she dies. She'll recover for 35% HP and also gain 90% damage reduction for 1 turn. The second option is Battlefield Healing, which might as well just not exist. We're going to be choosing left side here, as it is good, but as I spoke about earlier, you definitely want to be getting the other reaction option from her SP skill if possible, as that's by far her best in slot. At rank 7, we've got the choice of 2 passives. The first one is Guarding the Sword of Convallaria. If there are 2 or more allies within 2 tiles of Inanna, she'll reduce damage taken by 20% and increase attack by 20%. This stacks with the other forms of damage reduction she can get. Then, after dealing physical damage, she converts 2 buffs on the target into 2 random level 2 attribute debuffs for 2 turns, and also increases knockback distance by 1 tile. So remember that skill we picked up at rank 1? Now her AoE is knocking back for 2 tiles and also converting buffs into debuffs on the enemy. The second option is Let's Advance Together. If there are 2 allies within 2 tiles of Inanna at the start of the turn, all allies within range will gain co-attack and co-defense for 2 turns. These are buffs that give stacking stat bonuses depending on how many allies are nearby. This one's actually kind of funny, because on any other character, being able to upkeep co-attack and co-defense for free every turn would be really good. But on Inanna, it's actually kind of trash. You'll still have co-attack and defense in your build, but we're going to get it from a much better skill later on. No question, rank 7 is left side. At rank 9, it's time for the upgraded basic attacks, the first of which is Dawnlight. This is a 3 range attack and deals magical AoE damage equal to 100% of Inanna's physical attack. The second option is Dusk, which is only range 1, but instead it does 110% physical damage and knocks the target back by 1 tile. Now normally I'm a big fan of knockback on your basic, but there's no way we're giving up the chance for range 3 attack. And it also counts as AoE damage, despite being single target, and there might just be some gear you can use that boosts magical AoE damage. We'll see that later though. For now, on rank 9, we're sticking to left side. At rank 11 is time for the big one, Battle Flag of Convallaria stands. This is a 3 energy, 3 cooldown, 3 range, instant support skill. Inanna will summon a flag on a target tile and grant all allies within 5 tiles co-attack and co-defense for 2 turns. This flag grants all Iria and Sword of Convallaria allies nearby 10% extra attack and 20% extra defense, and then also, depending on the number of those allies, extra damage and extra damage reduction. Once the skill's been used, it transforms into For This World of Peace. This is a 0 energy, 0 cooldown AoE attack with a range of 3. Inanna will deal magical AoE damage equal to 130% of her physical attack to the target and all enemies within 2 tiles of them. Before attacking, it will also dispel 5 buffs from the target, which is a huge amount. When there's only 1 enemy, the multiplier increases to 180%, and after using the skill, it switches back to Battle Flag of Convallaria stands. What can I say? It's a signature skill, and it's great. You're going to be wanting to do this on cooldown, which you can actually make 2 turns instead of 3 by putting another flag down, using the generic Flag of Convallaria battle tactic. Flags on flags on flags. Now her second choice at rank 11 is her leader aura, which actually does exactly the same as the flag she summons, except this one's active all the time. For the skill choice here, we're absolutely picking up Battle Flag on left side. But I actually think it's worth putting another Castalia down and grabbing her leader aura as well. Firstly, it's an attack percentage node. Inanna's a great DPS. You want to throw as many stats as her as you can. And secondly, there are just situations where having the effect online at all times has value. This could be trying to min-max score in TOA, for example. Inanna's speed is only 216, so if you've got units going before her, they won't have any of the buffs from the flag online turn 1. And also there are just times where the flag will be destroyed by the enemy, and you'll lose its effect completely. But if you can slot in the leader aura, then it's always online. So for rank 11, we're going to grab both. Alright, that's all out of the way, so it's time to move on to gear recommendations. First up, let's take a look at her SIG gear, Dawnlight. At 5-star, this grants her 20% bonus magical AoE damage, which everything she does is, other than her knockback skill. As well as this, when she's using a healing or support skill on an ally, which she'll be doing almost every turn, she'll gain Power of Dawnlight 3, which is another 20% bonus damage, and her and the support target will gain attack up 2 for 2 turns. Lower star levels lose the attack up bonus and have lower damage buffs, but even at 1 star, it's still giving a 20% damage boost. If you're running DPS Inanna, this is the way. So for weapons, we're definitely going with Dawnlight first. An alternative though is SB Sophia's signature Nocturnal Glow if you're going for a more support focused build. This gives a nice stat boost to Inanna herself, but also allows Inanna to grant a unique damage buff along with generic level 2 buffs to any unit she uses a support skill on, and she does have a lot of them. Those two are the best, but if you've not got them, then something like a Newborn Blade or a Void Stab will work fine. For trinkets, I'm sure you know what I'm going to say, but as usual, Shield of Justice is the #1 pick. Big stat boosts, shields that go great with all her built-in damage reduction, you can't say no. Other than that, you could use a Blood Luxite amulet for some more AoE damage boosts. And then there's always the ever-reliable Hourglass for when your SIG gear rolls have given you nothing but copies of Pamina's Spear. Tarots are easy, we just want damage boosts. Magician gets the #1 spot for raw damage increases. If you're a crit hipster with your Void Stab, then Justice is the only real option to get more crit onto Inanna to try and make it work. And then on stages with enough enemies, you could use a Devil if you've got one that's rolled really well. Magician's what we really want though. For engravings, you're aiming for all the physical attack you can get. And if you get some HP percentage as well, there's nothing wrong with a bit more survivability. We'll also be going with Sword and Wand. Inanna has loads of movement, so she'll be easily getting the 12% attack and defense stat boosts every turn. Now let's go over the example build. We'll be going with a DPS focus, so that's Dawnlight with a Shield of Justice on Sword and Wand, and then a Magician Tarot for more damage boosts. For skills, we're taking her ranged basic attack, also called Dawnlight, her SP reaction skill, Battle Hardened Warrior, so she's granting Act Again as much as possible, her passive, Guarding the Sword of Convallaria for stat boosts and extra knockback fun, her ultimate, Battle Flag of Convallaria stands for even more buffs, and also so she has access to her biggest damage ability, and then finally her rank 1 selection skill, just for more DPS options. If you're a fan of going the more supporting route, you can swap out Dawnlight for a Nocturnal Glow, and also swap Convallaria Swordplay for Light of Convallaria. Alright, at this point I'd normally give a bit of an overall conclusion and then recommendation for whether you should pull her or not. We're going to skip that though, because Inanna is the best unit in the game, no question. Summon for this unit. Throw all of your Luxite at her banner. Well, unless you get her really early. Temple and then dip. That's the dream, right? Anyway, good luck with your pulls everyone. Let me know how you get on. I just had to hard pity Lutfi last time, so the RNG gods owe me a break on this one. Hop on my Discord if you haven't already, and if you're a returning player, go use my referral code on the event in-game, and you can send me a single pull. Why they can't be more generous with that, I have no idea. Absolute scam. Links for all that in the description anyway. Have a good week guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching everyone. I hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure to let me know what you thought in the comments below. Hit that like button, throw out a subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.